You think you can get away with that?
Let go of me!
Not until you learn your lesson.
He thought it was nothing. Just another late shift. Just another black girl in cheap gloves pushing a mop where she didn't belong. The music thumped through the gym like a heartbeat, mirrors flashing bodies and ego, and that's when he decided he owned the room. One step, one grab, one ugly assumption, the kind of assumption that ruins lives. Her name was Maya, and at that moment, she was just trying to finish her cleaning route and go home. Hair tucked under a cap, eyes down, moving quietly between machines while weights slammed and laughter echoed. She felt him before she saw him, the sudden heat, the breath too close, then fingers closed around her throat, firm, entitled, impatient. "You don't touch equipment unless I say so," the white instructor snarled, squeezing just enough to scare, not enough to bruise. He smirked, confident. Power always looks like that before it collapses. Time slowed. The gym noise blurred. Maya didn't scream. She didn't beg. Her eyes lifted, calm in a way that didn't fit the moment. The kind of calm you earn, not inherit. The kind that comes from surviving worse than this. Around them, people froze, unsure if this was discipline or abuse. That hesitation fed him. He leaned closer, whispering something ugly, something racist, something he'd said before and gotten away with. Inside Maya, something old and disciplined clicked into place. Muscle memory, breath control, angles, distance. She remembered commands barked in dust and heat, remembered learning how to escape hands like these. She let her knees soften, her shoulders relax, just enough to sell the lie that she was weak. If you're already feeling the tension, don't look away. This is where stories like this usually end. But this one doesn't. The grip tightened, not enough to crush, just enough to remind her who he thought was in control. He laughed under his breath, a sound full of routine cruelty, the kind that comes from never being challenged. "See?" he said to no one in particular. "They always freeze." A few gym members pretended not to notice. A few noticed and looked away. Silence gave him permission. Maya shifted her weight. Small movement. Calculated. The instructor mistook it for panic and squeezed harder, pulling her closer like a trophy. That was his second mistake. Her left foot slid back, heel grounding. Her chin tucked. Her hands came up, not flailing, not dramatic, just precise. She trapped his wrist against her collarbone and stepped inside his balance, close enough to steal it. His eyes flickered. Confusion. Surprise. The smirk cracked. In one clean motion, she rotated her shoulder and broke the line of pressure. Air rushed back into her lungs, sharp and cold. He stumbled, grip loosening, shouting now, voice high and angry. "Hey!" He reached again, clumsy this time, ego outrunning sense. Maya turned with him, using his momentum, redirecting instead of resisting. He hit the mat hard, breath knocked loose, the sound echoing through the room like a dropped weight. People gasped, someone swore. Music kept playing, oblivious. The instructor scrambled, red-faced, trying to rise, shouting about respect, about rules, about calling the cops. Maya stood over him, steady, hands open, eyes locked on his. Not angry, focused. That scared him more than shouting ever could. She stepped back, giving space like she'd been trained to do after neutralizing a threat. That was when the questions started forming in the room. Who was she really? And why did he look so small now? If this turn surprised you, stay with it. The real fallout hasn't even started yet. The room didn't explode into chaos. It froze. That was worse. The instructor stayed on the mat longer than necessary, palms flat, chest heaving, eyes darting as he tried to understand how the script had flipped so fast. A second ago, he was authority. Now he was a problem everyone could see. Maya took another step back, creating distance, posture neutral, the way you do when you don't need to prove anything anymore. Someone finally hit pause on the music. The silence landed heavy. A woman near the treadmills whispered, "He grabbed her." Another voice followed, louder, uncertain. "Is she okay?" The instructor pushed himself up, pointing at Maya like accusation could rewind time. "She attacked me," he barked. "I was doing my job." His voice cracked on the last word. Maya spoke for the first time. Calm. Even. "You put your hands on my throat. No shaking, no rush, just a statement." That calm shifted the air. People started replaying what they'd seen, what they'd ignored. Security was called. Management hurried over, eyes flicking between the man in branded gym gear and the woman in cleaning gloves who looked steadier than anyone else in the room. The instructor kept talking, digging deeper with every sentence. He reached for excuses, then for insults, then for authority again. Each one landed wrong. Someone mentioned cameras. Someone else mentioned a history. The manager's face tightened in a way that suggested this wasn't the first complaint, just the first one that couldn't be brushed aside. Maya stood quietly while the system finally looked at the right person. She'd spent years being trained for moments like this, not to dominate, but to survive and de-escalate. The irony wasn't lost on her. The one time she used that training in public, it wasn't overseas. It was under fluorescent lights, between squat racks and mirrors. And somewhere beneath the embarrassment and anger, the instructor realized something was coming that he couldn't talk his way out of. By the time the police arrived, the story had already chosen its side. Not because of shouting, not because of sympathy, because of footage, witnesses, and a pattern nobody could deny anymore. The instructor sat on a bench now, shoulders slumped, rage leaking out of him in small, useless bursts. Management stood between him and Maya, not out of protection for her, but liability for themselves. Cameras don't blink. Neither does truth when it finally gets airtime. They replayed the video on a tablet, the grab, the squeeze, the moment his face twisted with entitlement, the moment Maya moved, clean, controlled, defensive, not brutal, not excessive, just enough. The officer watching exhaled slowly and shook his head. "Sir," he said to the instructor, "you're the one in trouble here." That sentence landed like a drop barbell. Heavy. Final. Maya gave her statement without drama. She didn't mention her past until she had to. Former military, honorable discharge. Years of training in restraint, not aggression. The room recalibrated around her. Suddenly, she wasn't the cleaner. She was a professional who had been attacked at work. Paperwork multiplied. Phones rang. Corporate representatives showed up with tight smiles and legal language. By nightfall, the instructor was suspended. By morning, he was terminated. By the end of the week, charges were filed. Assault, abuse of authority, civil suit pending. The gym issued statements about zero tolerance and new training programs, the kind that always come after damage is done. Maya listened, arms folded, thinking about how many people before her never got this moment. She didn't celebrate. She went home, cooked dinner, stretched sore muscles, and slept deeply for the first time in a while. Justice, she knew, wasn't loud. It was precise. It was paperwork and consequences and people finally being forced to look. Weeks later, the settlement funded a program that hired cleaners as full staff with protections, training, and respect. The mirrors were still there. The weights still slammed. But something fundamental had shifted. If this story made your chest tighten even a little, don't just scroll past it. Like and subscribe if you believe stories like this deserve daylight. And tell me in the comments, have you ever watched someone abuse power and get away with it? Or did you finally see consequences land?